Ready Check Radio. What's up, Internet? It's time. It's Thursday, 7 p.m. Eastern. That means here on Ready Check Radio, we're doing the Relic Grind, the Final Fantasy XIV Square Enix podcast. I'm your host, Mike Byrne, as always, and we've got lots of Final Fantasy XIV stuff to talk about, lots of Stranger of Paradise stuff to talk about, and, of course, a slew of other Square Enix things just sprinkled on in. If you're watching on YouTube or listening on Spotify, iTunes, Amazon Music, Audible, any of those places, thank you so much. We appreciate your time. If you could, take a moment, hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, comment something, feed an algorithm somewhere, follow, whatever it is. And just tell all your friends. If you like what we do here, it's the easiest, fastest, and, in fact, free way that you can support what we do. If you need the socials, the website's right there. ReadyCheckRadio.com, all the socials, and all of our episodes in video form available there if you want to peruse the backlog. Joining me, as always, Mr. Chris Montoya, a.k.a. Tarkoth. What's up, sir?
Not much. Prog on Savages, leveling up characters, and when it comes to my streaming, I want you to know that's my way or the highway.
Well, you did do it your way, Jack. You did do it your way, Jack. Also on the line, Mr. Adam Lane, a.k.a. the Kronos 1, or the Kronos 411, to be exact. What's up, sir?
Not much. Yeah, I got all that leveling and Savage stuff out of the way. So I don't have
I saw the
Congrats.
Facebook post. Sage weapon dropped. Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. So I mean, we'll start right there. Everybody's Savage progression updates. Obviously, we've kind of tipped what happened with you, Kronos, but if you want to give a little blurb, what did you think of the final Hesperos fight now that it's all done, in the bag? Is it on farm, or is it still going to take a week or two to really, really fine-tune it and lock it down? What's going on?
We'll change some stuff, but I think it's on farm. We didn't even spend much time on Hesperos too. I think it was maybe like a lockout and a half, and we killed it.
Nice.
So I mean, it's got some tricky stuff to it, but my team kind of picked it up pretty fast. So, and then we only saw Enrage once, and I as soon as we had one pull where I could tell we were kind of ahead, even with damage downs and deaths.
Right.
And so I knew we were going to kill it that night. I was pretty
You were just ahead of the timer, or you knew we had it done.
Yeah. So it wasn't too bad.
What about you, Tark? Where are we at?
We got Phoenix down, and the thing about reclears on that, because we recleared it on Thursday, those tornadoes still are tricky little bastards. So, but we got the reclears done, and we're working on Hesperos ourselves. So hopefully, next couple weeks we'll be right there with you, Kronos.
Very nice, very nice. I am at 398 minions. I am very close to breaking the 400 threshold.
Nice.
I am currently 14th on my server. So
damn,
we're making up ground. And there's a couple that are just within reach of farming. Just have one more stupid 15,000 wolf marks one to get. Got the other two. That's done, and I'm 6,000 or 7,000 wolf marks into this one. So I'll be so happy when that's over. It does make me a little upset that there are just two minions that I'm just not gonna be able to get until Crystal Conflict and the whole pass is introduced, and those minions get recycled because they're the two feast achievement minions. And even if it's whatever it is, 300 assists and however many kills. And even if I enjoyed doing it, there just isn't time to accumulate those anymore without just making my eyes bleed doing feast preseason stuff, and that's just not going to happen. So the closest the cap right now is 433. Only 432 are available. The soundtrack one doesn't come out till February. And so there's going to be two that no matter what I do, I'm just going to have to wait for them to circle through the Crystal Conflict new PvP mode season pass thingy. So that's my Savage update.
I did
you
not
buy-
win the mount, by the way, in mine. So
You did not?
no, a Sage cashed out. He got the mount and the and weapons.
Oh, sad face.
Damn. I'll tell you what. Speaking of Sage, I've been playing, going like back and forth on Sage and Reaper, just doing like various fate grinds to get the rank 3s in the Shadowbringer stuff because I kind of skipped that. And I'm finding myself really enjoying Sage. Like, and I'm okay healing. I always have a healer leveled in an MMO just to facilitate groups and stuff like that, or make farming certain things easier. But I could actually see myself consistently playing Sage, not just having it there as a level-capped healer ready to go drag somebody through something or help out a buddy doing something, or, I'm actually really, really enjoying it. My son Torchwick and I were duoing Palace of the Dead to get potsherds for minions. And, I was like, man, I'm liking this. I'm actually really liking this. It's a lot of fun. Draws aggro like a bitch, though, when you're dealing damage and healing at the same time.
Yeah.
So that's your new main now, right, Tark?
Oh, yeah. I love it. Dungeons are very smooth-brained. It's a rotation of cooldowns and a couple shields, and you just pew the rest of the time. It's sweet. And it's got a really powerful kit in raids as well, so I am loving it. And it's not a book. It's not a book.
It is not a book. It is not. So patch 6.08 is here, closing in on the 6.1 patch. We'd like to take this opportunity to welcome all of our Oceanic friends to stable, not lag-ridden performance server connections. Welcome to Australia and New Zealand, to your own data center. A huge investment on Square Enix's part. And Yoship had talked briefly about it, during some live letters, but more recently in some more interviews by local news media, not just like Final Fantasy sites, but local news media in Australia or in New Zealand were asking about, what's this entail? And he said it was quite honestly, he wouldn't give the exact dollar amount, but he said this is ridiculously expensive to do. And we never really knew if there was going to be enough of a cost versus reward or risk, return on investment analysis to do this. But over the years, you've proven that it would be there. So we're doing it. Not a cheap investment at all. The transfers and all that stuff are all live. There's even some bonuses on XP and some free gil in certain situations, tossing you 1 million gil to get you started. So all things, leading to good stuff, including this badass map, dude. To celebrate. Cool. Yeah, this is awesome, isn't it? Yeah. Releasing a map of Australia and New Zealand in Eorzean fashion. And while it is very cool for all of you down under, I think the rest of us look at this and go, what the fuck, man? Make one for us. Because this is pretty badass. I'd like to see, like, now, not just each continent or countries, specific countries or anything. Yeah, just do a globe. Like, could you imagine an Earth, like an actual physical globe on your desk in Eorzean style? That'd be awesome.
It would be awesome.
It'd be sweet. This thing's very cool.
I don't know how they're going to update it, though, if, things keep progressing over in Europe the way they are, but,
Well, they don't even update their own map. They've only released, like, one.
Yeah. Yeah, that's it.
So.
In addition to the data center stuff, obviously huge buffs across the board. Remember, we talked about this, gang, before, that they weren't going to nerf Reaper. They were just going to help everybody catch up. And so I know we don't all play every single class enough to speak very in depth about every single class, so maybe touch on the one or two. Seriously, Black Mage, for me, obviously, just everything in my kit was buffed by at least 30 potency, and some as high as 100 potency. I did notice it immediately immediately going into a random for dead ends, an expert, and immediately was like, oh, okay, shit, we're going to have to aggro manage a little more than we've actually had to since Endwalker launched. Not to say that I was just pulling left and right, just noticing it's a little easier to pull if I want to. So let's be a little more careful. Buffs. I love them. Kronos, what are you seeing across the board in some of the classes you play the most? How they working out? Are you as strong as Reaper?
Who?
Any of your damage classes?
Oh, yeah. I think there's technically at the higher percentiles like 3 classes higher than Reaper now.
Yep.
I think like they did this so people would stop complaining about Reaper. That's my personal thought, because I don't know what he was huffing to think Monk needed buffs, but
Yeah.
because Monk's ridiculous
You
now.
said that a few weeks ago.
Yeah, I mean, just the Phantom Rush buff is, I mean, it's a pretty decent buff. I think Dancer probably got the biggest like buff overall out of everybody. There's still classes that need love though. The Dragoon buffs are really cool. I think those are probably my favorite. It's about time they finally like took the requirement away from like being next to your leash partner.
Yeah, no more leash animation though.
Yeah, I mean the particles were cool, but also it's like really annoying if you ever want to like tether a ranged player.
Yeah.
Or if
Like
you do that during a tether mechanic.
Yeah, you can't see. Yeah, so I think overall those were the coolest buffs to me, but I just don't know if it still gives them enough yet. Although I think they're hitting pretty hard. I feel like everybody's at a pretty good spot except for Machinist. As far as DPS goes.
What is the deal there? Why do you think that was kind of left out of here a little bit,
Well, they got
or
buffed.
left behind a little bit? I should say.
So they buffed drill. They buffed their 3 biggest buttons, but the problem is like they need to probably buff potency on like one of their combo hits or something. I don't know. They're just really like Machinist and White Mage right now. I don't know if you're now again. Disclaimer: you can bring anything you want. You can clear with everything you want.
Yeah.
But like if you're just looking at like what a class brings to the table inside your raid group or whatever, I don't know why you'd bring a Machinist and a White Mage. I really don't. The only reason to bring a White Mage is if you have a Dark Knight. I think that's it. Other than that, I think the other 3 healers just kind of dumpster it. And then Machinist, it's like, I mean, Bard's still the best for physical range, I think, by a good margin, but at least Dancer's like decent. Machinist is, I don't know, it still needs some help for sure.
What do you think of Tark? What do you think
I'm
of
thinking
Tark?
one of the reasons you bring White Mage is just because Astrologian is too gigabrain for some people.
I mean, it's hard. It is hard.
There's so much in that 2-minute window. Yeah, Machinists, they got their big buttons, but yeah, I'm with Kronos. I think something in their general rotation needs to be bumped just a smudge or a smidge.
Buff it by a smudge. Buff it by a smudge. Just a little smudge.
Smudge. Just smear it a little bit. It feels good to hit those big buttons, but they're so infrequent that it's like right now, aren't they like near the bottom of the meters?
They are the bottom.
They are the bottom. Yeah, they're dead last.
Yeah. Oh, of DPS classes.
Considering they don't bring anything else, yeah, I mean they bring tactician, but so does the rest of the physical range.
Yeah, that's not anything unique. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, they need something. If they're supposed to be the samurai or black mage of physical DPS, they should be higher than both of them.
What about some of the buffs for your most played classes here?
Sage was buffed so well. I mean, it was just amazing. Oh wait, they didn't get any buffs because they're so awesome.
They didn't get any. Nice try.
No healer changes at all, actually.
Yeah.
Nope.
It's
well, and that's we knew that though. Like we at least expected there wasn't going to be many. I mean, the healers have just a few DPS buttons to begin with, and this was to catch up to Reaper, not to catch up to a global standard or a number they had in their head. This was specifically to catch up these buffs to a particular class and its performance. So I really didn't expect much on the healer fronts here.
I think what they
Or they could do
Should
buff
have-
glare.
they should
Here,
have
have
done-
some more potency on
No,
glare.
I could tell you what they should do.
No,
but
they should have put a little bit more potency on misery, make it DPS neutral, so you're using those.
I could
So
say
it
that.
doesn't
Yeah,
feel
you're
bad
right.
that
You're right.
losing DPS.
Misery needs a buff. Assize needs a buff.
The size could use a little buff, yeah.
Probably Asylum should be buffed. And then there's probably still more. Even if they buffed Assize and Misery, they would still be the worst healer, I think.
They'd still have a gap, yeah.
But yeah, I mean, also like we didn't touch on it, but the tanks are a lot better now too. I think bringing Paladin up helps a lot. So I think the
Paladin hits
tanks
hard.
are fairly even now. Like, I mean, it kind of makes sense the order they go in. I still think Dark Knight has some like quality of life issues, but they hit hard, so nobody cares.
They hit like a truck, so it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Hey, you could buy the game again.
Yay!
I mean, that's always good when you're selling games.
Yes.
And you're a video game making company. The ability to sell said product is always, typically a good thing. So finally, in the data center fixes and launches, they have put the game on sale again. So,
I mean, the free trial's back up too.
yeah. So if you've been busting around and just waiting, now's the time. Hurry before they take it off the store again. I guess I don't know. Could happen.
I think we're going to be a good spot for a
Could
while.
happen. Yeah, I think we're going to be okay for a while. Like most of us have now, the servers have kind of calmed down. They're not on fire anymore. And, most of us have like 30-person queues even during prime time. So it's not too bad. Not too bad. We got there, gents. Maybe a little later than many of us would have liked, but we did get there.
Damn pandemic.
Yeah, damn pandemic. We don't normally talk a lot about things on the optional cosmetic shop. And that's because, they can go ahead and advertise their own shit, not on my dime. But I did want to bring this one up because this is one that a lot of people have actually been kind of waiting for. And we talked about on this show before, specifically saying, oh, that's definitely going to be a cash shop item.
Yep.
And here it is, the Omega attire. What do you think, Tark? I know this is one a lot of people were looking forward to, and I mean, I'm not going to say how I feel about it yet. I'll let you two gentlemen go first. What do you think, Tark? Worth a purchase?
$12. I wish,
$12.
I wish it was like one set and it could be, I don't know, swap between the two, but it's $12 if you want the female and $12 if you want the male. So $24, just like, ugh. If it was $12 and you kind of got both, I would feel better about that.
Well, what do you think of the look though? Like, would you buy
I
it?
love it.
Let's say it was $12 straight out and you got it all.
Yes, I would buy it. It looks pretty sweet.
Kronos?
No, I think
It's
it
not a
sucks
mount.
that it's one. Well, no, it's one piece. First off, so
Yeah.
you can't glamour specific pieces, and it's not dyeable.
Oh,
So
I'm not
okay,
gonna
I changed
lie.
mine.
The second I saw it, I'm gonna show you. This is what I actually saw. Like, this is what I actually saw when I first saw the Omega images. I was just like, they look like Cenobites. they freaking look like Cenobites. Which I don't know. I'm a huge Hellraiser and just scary movie in general fan, so maybe it makes me want to buy it more. But like, here, if I flash really quickly between the two, you can't tell the difference. You can't tell the difference.
Just call you Pinhead.
Right. Just walk around. Like, even like, look at here. I'll zoom in on, like, look at the chest plate, the chest piece here.
Epilepsy warning for all of our viewers.
No, it wasn't.
As you flash
doing
between
that.
the two.
No, I wasn't doing that. Like, look, it's even got the low cut U on the male chest piece there, just like the other Cenobite ones. Well, now I'm moving everything. Good Lord, Mike. Yeah, I mean, there you go. Omega gear. It doesn't do it for me. I'm actually kind of disappointed in the way the Omega gear shook out. It just does not do it for me.
I don't hate how it looks. I just think that it kind of
I don't-
sucks that it's one
I don't
piece
like it at all.
and not dyeable.
Yeah,
Like,
I
I'm
don't like it
paying
at all.
$12, $24. Like,
Yeah.
should be able to separate the pieces and dye it.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you can wear it and you can show us so many pleasures. Just show us so many pleasures. Speaking of cosmetics, So what the hell's going on here with my picture? Come on. What is this one? Move. There we go. Okay. Accidentally moved it when I was goofing around there. Or did I just move the overlay? Yeah, I moved the overlay. Okay. There we go. Oh my God. I swear to God I've done this before. I swear I've done this stuff before. There we go. There we go. Speaking of cosmetics, Sakaguchi-san has actually found the true endgame. He has finally made it, caught up to the true endgame of Final Fantasy XIV, and is discovering glamour. So much so that he's got his own clothing line inside Final Fantasy XIV called Sakaguchi, Gucci, Sakaguchi, and is tweeting out a bunch of different designs that he's made. Now, you can get Sakaguchi's designs in-game, no longer on the market board. He was selling some on the market board, but that reselling market is a bitch, man. And so now you have to see him in-game and go ahead and get these glamour items. I think this is actually really, really cute. I could just see him like, well, let's play with this. And he has found the true endgame, Kronos, which is glamour fashion.
Yeah, I mean, it's the end game for some people. No, I mean, it's cool. I think it's really cool that he's really he's diving pretty deep. And, I'm here for it. So
yeah. I mean, it's not he's not cursory, like playing the game, just checking it out, PR thumbs up stuff. Like he obviously tore through all the content, Tark. We talked about that, but now here he is like, what else can I do? All right, well, I'm gonna make my own clothing line. Why not?
I wonder if he's getting the funds to buy his own house, and if he gets his own house and decks it out, I want to go see that. I want to go visit that. That'd be dope.
I want the Sakaguchi Savage Raid streams, and then I'll tune in.
There you go. There you go. Do you think he's ever going to do it? I don't think so.
I doubt it.
I don't think so. I doubt it. I mean, unless Yoshi forces him to, right? Like, I could see Yoshi being like, yeah, you got to hop in this group with us. Come on.
I would watch that if like all the devs and stuff.
I would definitely watch that. Yeah. That's like 100%. What is it? 3:30 in the morning? Okay, I'm setting an alarm. I'm getting up. We're definitely doing it. Here's a strange one for you, gents. Where is my? This is where to God. Where is my over? Where is my B-roll for this? Did I accidentally delete it? Oh my God!
As Yod said, so pro.
I was having so many problems with that stupid Sakaguchi picture. No, it's here. It's here. Okay, good. It's here.
The thing about the Sakaguchi stuff is that you can make your own. It's all in-game stuff.
Yeah.
It's just not gonna have that tag, so you'll know it's not a counterfeit.
It's not gonna have the label. You gotta check the label. Hey, this happened pretty quickly, actually, but here we've got a solo clear of Pandemonium as Fidelis Circle 1 by a warrior. Solo clear. Takes a little over an hour. And AKA Ada, or AKA Ada, is the champion here. Says it took about a couple of days to prep for it, and then a few additional hours with some final prep to just kind of about 8 hours to kind of lock down some of the mechanics and timing on cooldowns in relationship to those mechanics, and then pull the trigger on a 1 hour warrior solo Circle 1 normal. This happens, in every patch and everything, or every expansion and everything. I don't think I remember a solo clear this quickly, though. But I do say
the same expansion.
No. I've seen it happen. Yeah, I've seen it happen in the same expansion. Oh, yeah.
That's the first I've seen it. Okay.
No, I've seen it happen in the same expansion. I just don't know if I can't recall if I've seen it, basically weeks essentially after the raid dropped.
I mean, so I thought I wasn't going to be a healer main this tier, but I ended up being a healer main, funny enough, because I'm playing warrior. So if you play this job, you know why this is possible. It's
It's
Warrior
I
is
I
pretty
firmly
insane.
believe it is the only class that could have done it this early.
Maybe Paladin, but it would probably take
Maybe.
longer.
I think that's oh my god.
I think the issue you'll run into with Paladin actually on this fight specifically is I'm pretty sure they're home ganging the stack markers, and
Yeah,
Hallowed Ground's
yeah.
not going to be up for every single one, whereas home gang is like probably the most busted skill in the game.
Yeah.
And it just lets you ignore mechanics. So, yeah, and then you just heal yourself back up to full because sure, why not?
Yeah, because you can.
As you can. Yeah.
Yeah, I have a
It's very
benediction
impressive.
I have a benediction every 25 seconds.
It's very
So-
impressive. Do either of you do this type of stuff? Just like for the challenge of it, see like how far you. Obviously, like you may go do old content solo, unsynced and stuff to just like farm mounts or farm minions or a specific piece of glamour or whatever. But I'm talking about like, do you ever balls to the walls go see how challenging a piece of content you can solo, whether it's in Final Fantasy or like in WoW back in the day? I remember people soloing SSC. Particularly warlocks, being able to pull some crazy stuff to pull that stuff off. Like, is that something you guys do?
I've done
Never.
Palace of the Dead. Does that count?
No, Palace of the Dead doesn't count.
I mean, I did solo.
Yeah, but that's made to be attempted solo. That's not generally.
I think that's just as hard as this. Honestly.
No.
Yeah. I could do this right now.
What class? What class you solo in?
Oh, in Palace of the Dead?
Yeah.
Machinist.
Oh.
But
okay.
well, I'm just saying, like, Warrior. I mean, once you know the home gang timing in this, like, it's not hard. You just home gang, and then you hit Bloodwedding, and then you hit Equilibrium, and you benediction yourself, and then you use Vengeance for all the tank busters because normal modes don't have Enrage.
Yeah.
So that's why they could fight it for an hour. You don't even have to like rotationally be good at the class. Like that's what I'm saying. Like it's like a challenge of like it's a
Listen
marathon.
to Kronos just like absolutely tear this achievement down. He's like,
it's a
yeah,
marathon.
all you do is home gang and then this and then benediction. And I mean, there's no enrage. So you just take you don't even have to know your rotation. You could go in and smack your face on the keyboard and be able to do this.
You can. You could. It would take longer, obviously. Like it would probably take like 3 hours instead of 1 hour. But you don't have to.
That with their buff, with Warrior's buff, I mean, they could probably tomahawk the way through the whole thing, right?
I mean, sure.
It'd be a long one.
I've been laughing about that buff for about 3 days, but but no, it's like I'm not saying it's not an achievement. I'm just saying it's more like a marathon than like an actual like hard. Like I think Palace of the Dead solo is much harder than this, but it is. I mean, it takes effort for sure.
So
but I don't solo stuff like this on content because it takes an hour.
Yeah.
What about you, Tark?
No, it's never it's fascinating, but it's never really interested me to do it. I'm happy when I can get Sephiroth Extreme done as my Sage. But otherwise awesome.
Yeah,
it's
so
awesome piece of content, but I
don't like actively sit there and try to do it, but I do get curious occasionally. Like I'll be, let's say I'm just farming like old extremes for mounts, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I grab a couple of mounts, and then I'm like, all right, well, let me try the next batch of extremes, and all right, some of those are good, some of those aren't bad, and then I'll just be like, I wonder if I can do this 80 extreme. Yeah, all right, let me give it a whirl, and then I will sit there and plunk around in it for like an hour or two. So I can get caught up in this type of stuff, but I don't generally like, okay, I kind of make a decision. I'm like, I can't do it. All right, I'm done. Or I could probably do this, but I don't want to sit here for another hour and do it. Newest girl in chat says, seems like the hardest part of this is staying mentally engaged.
It is.
Yeah.
It probably is. And that's the most
yeah.
dangerous thing is that if you slip up and screw the cooldown 45 minutes in, you got to start over.
Yeah,
minute 55, and you're like, I was supposed to home gang that. Damn it.
Yep.
I mean, that's the worst. Honestly, Palace of the Dead's like that too. You spend like the first 10 hours of the first 120 floors, which are easy. And then you make one mistake, you pull some mob that puts some potent dot and slow on you, and you die. And you're just like, well, guess I just lost 10 hours.
Or you bump yourself into a trap of luring at the wrong time.
Yeah.
Ouch.
We've all been there. But congratulations. congratulations. I think it's impressive, even if Kronos is
I
like,
didn't say it wasn't impressive. I just said it's
Kronos is like,
executionally not that hard. That's all I said.
I could do it with my eyes closed.
I
As
could
long
do
as
it.
you put
Yeah.
my finger on the home gang button and we're good.
Home gang,
You just clip
equilibrium,
like
and
a mother.
tomahawk, and you got to win.
You just clip. Yeah, I mean, you can tomahawk. You're probably gonna be tomahawking that boss for about 6 or 7 hours, though. But
Right.
you kill it.
Well, you still have the duty timer, so you got 90 minutes.
That's true.
Oh,
that is
that
true.
is
Okay,
true.
that
Yeah,
is true. That is
see?
true. The duty
That's a
timer
good
actually
point.
does come into effect. That is a fair point that I did not take into account.
Yeah, I didn't even think of that, Tark. That's a good point. That the duty timer could hose you. You're sitting there at like 8% with 3 minutes left. You're like, son of a bitch.
I mean, you're dead. Yeah,
Right.
that's like
Can't
millions
do
of
tomahawk
health.
anymore. It's not enough damage.
Yeah, if this expires, I'm gonna be so angry. Hey, we don't normally talk about like a lot of other streamers and stuff unless there are like guests on the show. But like her or not, Zepla, well-known Final Fantasy XIV streamer, a little concerned, as are many in Kiev. Russia and Ukraine. That whole situation kind of heating up. A lot of troops stationed not far from the capital there.
Tensions are high.
Yeah, tensions are, always high. And Russia, does what they do. To the point that on the international stage, leaders have said, who knows? There could be attacks at any point. And being within hours of the capital there, a little stressful. And so we just want to extend our hope that, Zepla, I hope everything stays safe for you and everybody else there. She has been looking at moving back to the States. Problem with that is she does have a pet. And, there's a bunch of protocol, particularly coming from Ukraine, that you got to go through if you want to bring your pet, particularly dogs. So, yeah, it's a little bit of a mess. Very concerning. She did a whole stream about it. There's a video if you want to take a look at that. But we just wanted to take a minute, even though we don't really talk about a lot of streamers, to say, hey, stay safe. We hope all of you in the Ukraine and in Russia stay safe. Obviously, there's people in the Russian military that may disagree with what's going on, but, orders are orders type situation. So just everybody, we hope they all stay safe, including Zepla. Bit of a rough spot. Newest girl saying, kind of paranoid the Air Force is going to call me back if war breaks out. Yeah, I mean, it just rolls over, right? I mean, it's easy to sit here in the United States and go, that's over here. That's over there. That's over there.
That's exactly what I was thinking. But this whole Zepla situation kind of put a face to that, and it actually made me kind of dive into what is actually going on over there. So it's not a good situation.
Yeah. So stay safe, gang. Stay safe. And Zepla, we hope it all works out there in your favor, whether that means staying there safely or coming over to the States. At least she's in a position where that's a possibility, right? Where there's a lot of people that's not a possibility, Kronos, where it is, it is what it is. You live here and you don't have the capability of going anywhere. So,
yeah, I think I saw too. Like, she's prepared to drive if she has to. I mean, I'd be doing the same thing if I had to get the hell out of Dodge. I saw she was streaming today though, so I think that's at least somewhat of a good sign.
Yeah.
But
just wanted to say, hey, stay safe. Quick note for you before we cover the last Final Fantasy XIV thing. If you think back to the Digital Fan Festival in 2021, the Welcome to Naoki's Room, that recording archive, if you missed that or you want to watch it or you want to, maybe save it. I don't know. Maybe people do that. I don't know. I don't know how I get B-roll for this show. You want to do so quickly. That footage is going away Thursday, February 10th. Do we know why? It just seems weird that that's going away.
It's just that, right? It's not the whole
it's just that.
FanFest. It's just that.
Yeah.
The archive footage of the Welcome to Naoki's Room stage event from the Digital Fan Fest, was there music used that maybe they don't have the licensing to? I haven't watched it since the event itself.
I don't remember. Yeah.
Featuring guest Kamiki will be available for viewing until Thursday, February 10th. If you have yet to view the archive, now is your last chance. If you're interested in watching the segment, do so at the earlier than the date listed above, and they give the links to Nico, Twitch, and YouTube. Like, just seemed weird. That was just posted on the site today, too. Like, on the Final Fantasy site. I saw it. Like, I saw FanFest, and I was like, oh, cool, I'm going to go grab that, throw that in the show notes, because it might be something, it's probably news about the upcoming one, and, maybe they've made a decision whether they're going to attempt a physical one or if they're going to keep it digital. And then I go to look at it, and I'm like, what is this?
Yeah,
like, this is so bizarre.
Little weird.
There you go. Speaking of the Yoshi one himself, Yoshi P did take part in the, like, what is that? It's like the annual Mahjong Square Enix live stream thing with like a bunch of Square Enix personalities. Afterwards, he did talk about Final Fantasy XIV. I'm going to be using translations here by M. Killerby from Reddit, so much thank you for that. He did confirm that there will be a special edition live letter from the producer in February. We already knew about that. Was already mentioned. But they're kind of indicating that it'll be late in February, where we were kind of like, well, 15th through the 25th. Like, we might see this like the last week of February. There's going to be a 6.1 preview part 1 in March. By the prior track record, this will be pretty comprehensive overview of new content coming in the patch, like main story quest, which would kick off the new story, right? Now that we're done with Zodiark and Hydaelyn. Probably get the new key art. The Alliance raid would be introduced. The Trial, Beast Tribe, any job changes. What isn't listed here also in the translation, though, is Crystal Conquest. Like, we know that whole PvP thing is coming, and the Feast is presumably being cycled out. I'm like, they haven't officially said anything, right? They just said there would be no season. Yeah. There would be a preseason, but no season, which kind of led us to believe that it is then not going to be available.
I think they're going to cut it off kind of like they do for like one of the Rival Wings things, where it's like you see it, but you can't queue up for it.
Yep. They did the penalty karaoke game. That was fun. And Yoshi P said he's healthy, Tark, and he can continue to work on Final Fantasy XIV. He intends to keep on working on it for 10 years from now, and heading towards that, he's quite busy with a lot of stuff. So much that he hasn't even had time to do the new raids yet.
My lord.
So maybe he won't be taking Sakaguchi-san into Savages anytime soon.
You got work to do, Bar. Get on that, boss.
Yep. Although he is watching a lot of us. He said he's watching a lot of Final Fantasy. He's watching a lot of Final Fantasy streamers, including from overseas. He'd like to proceed with planning of some scale figures for the game. I don't know how I feel about this one, Kronos, because I saw that Y'shtola doll. That thing was creepy, and I know that was a very specific style and, production run for that. But who am I kidding? I'm going to fucking buy them. Like, I have
if they're Kai arts, like...
Yeah, right? That'd be pretty sweet. Like, I'm honest. How have we not done this already?
There's going to be minions or something involved, so you'll probably buy them regardless.
Damn it.
But no, I mean, it's fine. Yeah, I mean, those are things that I tend to purchase, but some of them look really cool, and I get tempted on a few, but I end up never pulling the trigger because they're always like $300. But I think it's great to just have more stuff for the game for people.
I'm honestly amazed we don't have them already. Like, it's not like they were waiting to see if 14 did well.
I mean, like
at this point,
the things that I would buy too, like we just talked about the map earlier. Like, I'd buy an updated map if yours they put it somewhere around here, but you can't buy one.
Yeah,
it just don't exist. So maybe get some bootleg one, but
yeah, give me a nice cloth one. I'd frame it. That'd be nice. That'd be sweet.
Yoshida mentions that there's going to be a lot of interviews starting next week, explaining interpretations of the story of Endwalker. So I'm sure that will lead to quite a few items for us to discuss next week as far as how people are interpreting the story. He was surprised that the Loporits got as popular as they have, especially with Japanese fans. And to me, I'm just kind of like, really? You weren't sure that these were going to be popular? They're cute. They're bunnies. They're related to Final Fantasy. They're a callback to an older Final... Like, what part of me, like, what part of you didn't go, yeah, people are going to love these? I mean, Tark has worn one on his head since the expansion launched.
Yep, that's right. Tarkoway right here. And you named one Puddingway. I mean, how do you not become emotionally attached to Puddingway, especially when she came in Garlemald? Oh, it's just...
Still think
sit in my
Sleeping
heart.
Way should not be at the control panel of
I
any
agree with you.
ships.
Absolutely agree
Any
with you.
ships. Tark, Kronos, do you love them?
They're pretty. I mean, my title of the FC is Looting Way right now, so I think I think it is a bit more popular than I thought they would be too. But I knew they were going to be popular, obviously for the reasons you all stated. But like, I've just seen like ults of people that have their names. Like everybody's like changing their characters' names, their FC ranks, all that stuff to like whatever way or whatever, like see you tomorrow way or some. I don't know. Like everybody's doing all sorts of different ones. So it's really popular, but I mean, I knew they were going to be at least somewhat.
Yeah,
popular.
that's the only thing I'm like. Was like, how are you surprised by this? Anyway, there are plans for a series of side stories for Endwalker, just like in the previous expansions. And finally, Yoshi P's schedule is so packed that the next Yoshi P stroll, where he just logs in and plays with players, is going to be hard to fit in until after spring.
He's
a busy dude. This is a busy dude. 16 is taking a lot out of him.
Yeah.
16 is taking a lot out of him, I bet.
After
COVID,
spring
14,
makes me think that's
16.
what it is. So.
Yeah. He's packed. He's too busy.
All right, let's talk about some other Square Enix stuff. There was an article on the official Square Enix site this week that used a clickbait headline and then totally copped out of answering the question. Imagine that. It said, which Final Fantasy game should I play first? What's the best starting point for new players? We help you make the big decision. And then they went ahead and didn't help you make the best decision, did not put out a recommendation of any type on where you should start. They just kind of said, actually, I'll use their own words. So to lend a hand, we'll run through the mainline Final Fantasy games that are available and give you a sense of what to expect from each adventure. Then you can simply choose the game that most appeals to you. We're confident that whichever you pick, you'll have a good time. And they kind of give like a little synopsis of each Final Fantasy, where it's currently available, and then they say, play this first if you want to see where Final Fantasy series began. You want to play a traditional Japanese RPG with turn-based battles. You also want to play Stranger of Paradise Final Fantasy Origin. It directly connects to this game. But they did not answer the damn question that their headline led you to believe that they were going to answer. So I'm going to put it to all three of us. Somebody that has no Final Fantasy experience. None. But wants to get into, I want to see what this Final Fantasy shit is all about. Which Final Fantasy in the mainline series, so 1 through 15 at the moment, do you recommend is the one that they play first to dip their toes into this pool? Tark, we'll let you go first.
Are we talking like in a vacuum? You got no other information. It's just the games and that's it.
Hey,
I think it's person by person basis.
We'll see. Don't you see now? You're doing the same thing that Square Enix did on their site. Somebody that likes RPGs has never played Final Fantasy, and they say, "Hey, man, I'm okay with action RPGs. I'm okay with turn-based RPGs. I'm okay with JRPGs, but for whatever reason, I've never quite gotten around to Final Fantasies of any type. Which one should I play first?"
That's a tough one. My heart goes to 4, but that's just because that was the first Final Fantasy I ever played. So if my recommendation, if you've never played a Final Fantasy before, I would say 6 should probably be your first one.
All right. So 4 in your heart, but logic-wise, you'd recommend 6.
Yeah.
What do you got, Kronos?
Can I pick 7 remake?
You can. Yeah.
You said mainline, so I was just making sure. I think it's
7. It's 7.
I think it's 7 remake. I just think it's the most approachable game for anybody that has like no, like they played RPGs or played other games and they don't really know anything. I think that's the game you play. It's just, I don't know. It's new.
Modern.
It's fresh. It's like
yeah.
Everything's like, it's pretty deep still. I mean, And then also you're not
Dirty.
disappointed because you don't understand the old one, so you don't have to worry about that. But
Lord.
yeah, I think it's got to be 7 remake. I typically do ask follow-up questions because people ask me this question a lot. So I
well,
typically
yeah, of
do
course,
ask, like,
of course,
follow-up
I'm making you,
Yeah.
make the decision with very little information. Yeah, I mean, most of us naturally would be like, well, what other games do you like? What RPGs have you played that you really enjoyed? What did you enjoy about them? Before we would be like, yeah, here you go. I think 7 remake makes a ton of sense.
Yeah.
Like, it's hard to argue with. It's on the back of a great story and a well-loved classic example, arguably the title that mainstreamed Final Fantasy, right? Arguably. 6, did a very, very good job in the SNES days of mainstreaming it a little to a great extent, but PlayStation and the 7, I mean, that just cemented it as an icon at that time. So I think 7 remake makes an awful lot of sense. It's going to be new, it's going to be fancy looking. You're not going to have to deal with, are you okay with old graphics? None of that stuff. So, but I don't want to copy your answer.
Fair.
So I'll pick a different one. And the problem I have here is that my answer would copy Tarkov's in 6.
Yep.
So I can't take that now either. So I'm going to have to say the 3rd Final Fantasy I recommend you play. Since you both took mine. And yeah, Tactics is amazing, but it's not mainline. That we were sticking to mainline for this. You guys really, 6 was the one that I would recommend.
Mm-hmm.
But I can't argue with 7 remake. And logic wise, that's probably where you have to go. But I liked 15, but I honestly don't feel like 15 represents the Final Fantasy brand the way you might want to represent it to somebody that's totally new to the brand.
I agree with that.
So you know what? I'll go 9 then.
Yeah.
I'll go 9 then. I think that's a good pick.
9 or 10.
Yeah, you might not like 9. There's obviously a huge pro in if you can convince them to play 14, right? Like there's so much to do there. But again, I think 14 falls into the same thing that 15 does for me. And as being an 11 head, it's the same reason I can't say 11, because 11 and 14 are so wildly down their own paths because they're MMORPGs, right?
Mm-hmm.
That I don't think they represent the entirety of what a person saying what Final Fantasy should I play first is looking for. They're looking for a self-contained go play story with that question. So yeah, I'm going to go 9. I think 9 is, whether you like it or not as a hardcore diehard Final Fantasy fan, I think it is a nice balance of a charming aesthetic, a traditional Final Fantasy-esque storyline, elemental crystals, etc., etc. So I think that, no, you can't say Chrono Trigger. That's not a Final Fantasy. Q in chat, can I say Chrono Trigger?
If that's an answer, then that is my answer as well.
Yeah. Empty Mannequin says Breath of Fire 3. That wasn't even Square anymore, was? Oh yeah, it was. Yeah. It was, because number 1 was
no.
Number one is Square. The rest are Capcom. Yeah. The rest are Capcom.
But
yeah, 14 is Baron's right. 14 is just a huge undertaking for the first time.
I really think there's just a few answers that are just like completely wrong, which is why I was surprised they're like even on the list that they did to suggest. Like, who is going to suggest people play Final Fantasy 2 or 3 first? Who? Like
maybe 3, not 2. No, that's too experimental.
If you're saying someone should play 3 first, then you've skipped over 5 somehow and gotten to 3. And I don't know how.
Well, I like their rationale, and of course they're plugging the Pixel remasters, right?
Of course they are.
Final Fantasy 2, their rationale is to play this first if you've played RPGs before and are looking for something unconventional. You're excited to see. So it's like, if you want to see something that has nothing to do with the other stuff that we normally do, check this one out. You're excited to see one of the more experimental games in the series.
Sure.
Or you want to see the origins of chocobos, the iconic bird that made their first appearance in this game.
Experimental is just another word for bad. I'm sorry.
Final Fantasy 3, play this first if you want to play an RPG that has a lot of strategic depth. Okay, yeah, I'll give you that. I that doesn't mean that I necessarily think it is well executed on all those regards, but there is some strategic depth there.
Sure.
You like having a lot of control over your characters and party composition. That should read you like having all the control over that. You relish a challenge. Final Fantasy III is one of the tougher games in the series.
Okay.
Okay.
All those things are also true about 5, and 5's a better game. That's the thing. It's like I just don't see how you recommend 3. 1, I get. 1 is also not very good, but 1 is like you want to start at the beginning. I understand that. That's a valid reason. I don't see why you would ever start with 2 or 3. Just don't.
Yeah.
Like, and I could see 10 being a recommended one too.
I think 10's up there. I think 10's
yeah,
up
I think it's up there.
When you were choosing yours, I was like 9 or 10, 9 or 10. Like it's got to be the choice. And I was thinking 10. But I think maybe this is one of the strengths of Final Fantasy franchise as a whole is the varied experiences for this whole franchise. Whereas you look at something like Dragon Quest, where you know what you're getting that turn-based feel. Final Fantasy's gone down so many different paths and experimented with different things. They all haven't hit. But that's where 16 is, I'm excited of what they're going to bring to the table for that.
I like 11. Play this first if you want to play a traditional old school MMORPG. You like having a vast world to explore and lots of things to do. And you have friends who play this game and can join you on quests. They're like, have friends.
There should be one bullet point. It should say, play this if you hate modern amenities in games. That's what it should say.
Did you ever play WoW and thought user interfaces were just too easy sometimes? Have fun.
Did you ever play EverQuest and love that? You'll love this.
One of the points they did make on Final Fantasy I was if you plan to take a stroll through Stranger of Paradise, Final Fantasy Origin, we got a lot of Strangers of Paradise info this week in the way of a brand new trailer, the final trailer, the final gameplay trailer. Then we got a gameplay features video as well. Let's talk about the trailer briefly first. A lot of Jack and his friends smacking stuff around, turning them into crystals and all that jazz. The game continues to look better and better each time I see it. Although I should just say the way they're cutting the trailers looks better and better.
Yes.
Thinking back to the original Chaos trailer, if you will, just being an absolute nightmare. This one does get a little weird about 3/4 of the way in, though. Tark, I'll let you explain since you kind of teased it at the beginning of the show. It caught me off guard, and I had read comments under the YouTube video already, and I was like, wait, I'm going to see what? What? How are they? And then they went ahead and did it.
Yeah. So you put in the show notes, you put My Way, and my first thought was they were leaning in to the earlier Limp Bizkit punk rock thing.
Nope.
And no, that's not what's happening. They went Frank Sinatra's My Way. And it just feels weird. So while it's cut and visually looks good, like that song just does not fit, in my opinion. It might have been
really bizarre.
Limp Bizkits.
It's really bizarre.
It is.
I mean, the trailer's beautiful. I love this Kraken, by the way. I thought that was really cool. Although the subtitles
look amazing.
Yeah, the bosses look great. The subtitles were a little wonky on the release the Kraken line, and it didn't come out exactly right if you look at the subtitles on YouTube. I gotta say, it is the best for me. Kronos, it is the best trailer yet, even with the My Way Frank Sinatra singing maybe being a little bit out of place for me. You did finally, once again, you hear now they're referring to themselves as the Warriors of Light, and you have that iconic bridge moment again. It's, here we go. We're only, a month and a half away. And honestly, I'm just keep getting more and more excited for the title that I was just kind of lukewarm about when they first announced it.
Yeah, I'm still excited for the gameplay, and I checked out the gameplay trailer too. But yeah, this is definitely easily the best trailer. You can start seeing more of the connections to Final Fantasy 1 also.
Mm-hmm.
I think for the My Way thing, I feel like, I don't know if you remember the 15 trailer where it was like Stand By Me.
Yes. Yeah.
And I actually kind of liked that trailer.
That one
That one
worked
fit.
though.
Yeah, and I think they were trying to do something like that here, and it just didn't. This game's just gonna be weird, man. The story's gonna be weird. It's gonna be corny.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
But
No
I
doubt.
think the gameplay is gonna save it. I really do. So.
Well, I mean, if how many copies of Dark Souls and Demon Souls and Souls-like games have sold? I mean, and now this is one that has the Final Fantasy name on top of it. So like, this is gonna pull. I think this is gonna pull some people that aren't traditionally Final Fantasy fans into Final Fantasy a bit because simply they are Dark Souls or Demon Souls fans, Tark. And hey, cool. This is a remake of the very first one, so I don't have to know jack about the story. You know, there is that barrier isn't there. If you even know it's a remake of the first one, you know, it's just kind of like, yeah, I'll go check that out.
Feels like it might be a prequel. Like you might be Jack Garland, and it's just a whole weird time travel loop shenanigans.
Don't spoil shit, man. Some people in chat might not have beat Final Fantasy 1 yet.
I'm sorry, you're way late. Way late to the party then.
Let's just say there is time. Let's just say there have been many years where the time travel really didn't make sense at the end of 1, gang.
It's all too chaotic.
Yeah.
I like how you said Jack as a pun and you didn't even laugh. I'm ashamed. I'm ashamed.
What, you don't know Jack? Yeah.
Yeah, you said you don't need to know Jack, and you didn't even laugh.
Man.
You said it with a straight face.
Yeah, I know. Shush. I don't need you to point out the things. These are the Easter eggs for those watching on YouTube. We also got some pictures of monsters and locations too. It's just shaping up to look good. I still am amazed that they have not rolled back that whole couple of quests for the pre-order thing, though. They're not going to.
No.
I know they're not.
The backlash is over. Like, there is no more backlash. They survived it. They're going to leave it the way it is. I hate that. And it's making me not want to pre-order it.
Here's what I'm hoping is that
simply because I want the game, but I don't want to support that.
Yeah, I'm with you. And I'm not going to get the digital deluxe. I'm hoping the sales on that deluxe suck. So like, well, maybe we should just put that content out as DLC, and then maybe I will throw a few bones their way. But
I don't know, because they specifically have come out and said that can't be available any other way.
And that's awful. That's absolutely awful.
Yeah, Yad in chat's right. I hate that Destiny's doing it with dungeons.
Yep.
I hate that this game's doing it with it's a single play. Well, I mean, I guess you can have multiplayer, right? Which is cool. And they're going to have separate dungeons and raid type stuff. I think that's all awesome. I'm on board 100%. You made a stupid marketing decision here that I think didn't gain you anything to begin with. I don't think it's helping sales of a particular edition to the point that it was worth it.
Maybe that down the road they're going to make this as part of their NFT package, you know?
Oh god.
Earn the content like that.
Outriders 2? Question mark? I don't know.
Question mark? Maybe.
People Can Fly released their portfolio update to their investors, their whatever financial reports, right?
Mm-hmm.
They are working on something they call Project Gemini, which says it's a new project with publisher Square Enix, planned release date 2024. They made Outriders, and presumably, I mean, if they're doing this, I'm guessing that they finally got paid. So I hope so. But what do we think? Like, we have any guesses? Is it a sequel to Outriders? Outriders getting an expansion this year, so I think 2024 for an Outriders 2. I don't think that's all that unreasonable. But Faye left, and now Tarkoth, your camera is all screwed up again.
Am I a unicorn?
You are a unicorn.
Yes.
Now you are a unicorn. She is back in the call.
She needs to update that though as a Loperit. So.
But what do you think? Could it be something else, Kronos?
I think it could be. I don't know why they would try to hide it, but maybe it's just because it's too early to announce a second game. Like, they feel like it's too early to publicly announce it.
Yeah, makes sense.
But I feel like it's successful enough they might trust them with something else. So I don't know. I think it could be.
Yeah,
but if I had to
2024 is right for a sequel for a game
if I had to bet money, I'd probably
isn't
say
a live service. Tark, Outriders 2 or something else? I won't pin you down to what it is, but Outriders 2 or something else.
My thought was maybe it's a new IP, but then the third slide it specifically says that it's
there's
a new IP project.
New IP, yeah.
So this is probably not a new IP. So my money would land on Outriders 2 and not being transitioned to a different IP in their portfolio. So
what do you think
go
then?
with
We
Outriders
get the expansion later this year. Do we get another expansion in 2023 and then a game in 2024, or do you let this IP sit for basically 2 years before you touch it again? I think you almost have to do a very large DLC, if not an expansion, in 2023, right? You don't.
Maybe.
The last thing you want
Maybe.
is for your next expansion to be the last thing you do on this title for 2 years. When you're going to try and launch a sequel to it, right?
Yeah, year plus. Yeah, that could be rough, depending on when things land. But yeah, maybe, if you got the full expansion this year, which probably is going to be at the end of the year, November, December. Maybe a summer DLC package with like a raid, dungeon, a couple things. Maybe not fully fleshed out expansion. And then would hold you over till Outriders 2.
Gents, before we head over to Love It or Leave It, I totally negated to point something out last week. In fact, it didn't dawn on me until after the show, but we covered what Square Enix had published as their 2022 release slate on last week's show. And now, obviously, we did put the disclaimer on it, the same one that Square put on it, that this was not their entire release slate. They still had plenty of games to advertise or that were going to release. But you would expect that most of those would be smaller titles or offshoot titles from smaller departments, and that this was the list, or at least represented most of the list of the big marquee things. One thing I failed to notice until after the show was that Marvel's Avengers was not on that list in any way, shape, or form. Not even a mention of it.
I'm hoping they make it, they just let it fade away and people forget
we know
about it.
I don't know. I mean, She-Hulk is coming. She-Hulk is coming, and the Spider-Man MCU suit is in the store now, inspired on the Far From Home Spider-Man outfit. So let's head over and do Love It or Leave It. Love It or Leave It is the way we end every episode of the Relic Grind here. It's where I give you something Square Enix related. Could be a feature in a game, a press release, something they did, something they said, something tangentially related to Square Enix. Doesn't matter. And you tell me whether you love it, want more of it, or leave it. Now, I'm going to put a little bit of a wrinkle, and I put this in the show notes for everybody, that this was going to be a little bit of a wrinkle this week. Because I'm not just asking you to pick something and love it or leave it. I'm asking you to love one, but that comes at the expense of you having to leave the rest.
Ouch.
So if you need an extra minute or so to describe your point of view on this, I want to know, in Final Fantasy XIV, you got to love one class, but that means you can never, ever play any of the other classes again. And I don't care if you want to go with Disciple of Hand, Disciple of Land, because crafting's your gig, baby. That's fine, But if you pick Warrior, you cannot play any other Disciple of War, Magic, Hand, or Land ever again. You are just a Warrior. Tark, which one do you love?
With that stipulation in mind,
I'm not allowed to do shit except that one class.
I'm going to have to go Sage. Sage is amazing. It's such a strong kit. I love its playstyle. The freedom of movement it appeals to me, that I can just keep moving and heal on the go. Yeah, I'm going to go with Sage. I really love that job, and I could see myself playing just that for Yoship's next 10 years.
All right. Kronos.
Can I pick Arcanist?
You could
get 2 jobs.
No.
Why not, dude? It says class. No. I see it on there. It says pick one. Final Fantasy XIV
he's lawyering this. He did say class.
Is he changing it right now? Okay, fair enough. I was seeing if I can get one over.
No, the show notes say job. They say job.
Okay, yeah, you're right. I see it now. Yeah, I see it now.
Yeah. Change mid-show.
Mid-show? There's like 30 seconds left in this show.
This is actually kind of tough because I play like everything. and it's like part of the fun of the game for me.
Yeah, this isn't
Yeah.
like it's kind of easy to say, what's your main, what's your favorite class?
Yeah.
This adds a little bit of a wrinkle in like, hey, it may not be your favorite, it may not be your main, but if you can only play this game with one class forever, what is it? I think in a lot of cases that might be different from your favorite or your main.
Yeah.
Tark's
So, like,
taking the easy answer, and he's like, I like the new sexy. Woo!
It is sexy, but with that kind of stipulation, like I have a lot more time to kill my back catalog over here than at that point.
I debated picking Reaper just because I do think the new jobs flow really well. But I think I just have to pick White Mage. It's just like such a classic job. I like it, even though it sucks right now. I hope they fix it. It's just the job I've played the most across everything, and I always see myself coming back to it. So if that's the case, then if I only had to pick one, I feel like it has to be that. And I do enjoy healing in this game, but it's just tough for me because I literally play everything. But if I had to pick one, it'd be White Mage.
So I would love to pick Black Mage, but in thinking about this question, I can't. Like, if that's the only class I can ever play again, there's just like, I can't. Realistically, I can't do certain things and have fun. Like, everything becomes a real slog at some point, because we can't heal. Like, we have nothing that heals us. So, I did think about Red Mage. I was like, okay, so if I can't be Black Mage, what if I go Red Mage then? Then I do have, a little bit of my own survivability, a little bit of healing, a little bit of this. I got a little bit of everything. And then I was like, but maybe that's too boring at that point. It's like I'm not really good at anything. I'm just okay at everything. So I kind of landed surprisingly on Paladin. And I'm not generally a tank, but I was like, you know what? I could clear content. I could do a ton of stuff solo. I could still have fun with it. And to one of Kronos' points, I'd still feel like I was a traditional Final Fantasy class in Paladin, and I'd name him Cecil and just walk around and, do my stuff and be able to heal. So, yeah, surprisingly, I'm not a main tank by any stretch of the imagination, but I'd go Paladin just for survivability's sake, if nothing else. So I just wasn't getting murked on harder content trying to solo things. So let us know in the comments below what your love it class would be. Not your favorite, not your main, but the class you have to stay with at the expense of everything else. What class would it be? Put it in the comments below on YouTube. Chat, don't go anywhere. Right after the show, we've got Ms. Faye Death going live. What's up, Faye?
I'm finally alive again. Hopefully.
You feeling better? You feeling better?
Yes,
Everybody was
finally.
expressing their concern last week, hoping you were well.
I appreciate it. Yeah, I really hope that 2022 leaves me alone with the illness. I feel like I've been sick all year, but we are finally feeling better, and we're back with a new, improved streaming setup, which means I can have my PC games back. So we're going back to tonight. Yes.
What are you playing tonight?
We're going back to 14. I missed 14. I'm treating us with a little break to.
All right, chat. Then all of you need to stick around and catch her up. She may need your help in with all the new love that's been dropped in 14. So don't go anywhere.
Spoil everything.
Stream, don't. Stream will go dark for about 15 seconds when we're done here while we relabel it all for Faye Death. Of course, we'll be back next Thursday with another episode of the Relic Grind, 7 p.m. Eastern. Don't miss Gaming Gumbo this Saturday, 7 p.m. Eastern. Lots of general gaming weekly wrap-up news to talk about with Jason Winter, and Yad will be back in town, and he'll be on the show this Saturday, as well as all of our volunteer streamers who I love very much, going on live throughout the weekend and into next week. Until next week, Kronos, where can everybody find you?
Yeah, same as always, Twitter below. I don't know what I'm going to do in the game for like the next week. I don't have raid.
yeah, you're done.
So I guess I'll play Yu-Gi-Oh! And watch football.
There you go. Sounds like a plan. Sounds like a plan. Go ahead, Tark.
I don't want to talk about football, but you can follow me on Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, all at Tarkoth Gaming. Pretty easy peasy.
Yeah, I mean, it sucked that you guys worked so hard during the season to just basically be the Steelers. I mean, it was really nice. Like, you made it and got to play one game. Nice job.
You're gonna both lose your quarterbacks. You're gonna both lose your quarterbacks. So that's another common thing you have.
Yeah. Except the funny thing is there were no expectations for my team. We made the playoffs and everybody was like, "Nah, they're playing with house money. See what happens." You guys, there might have been a few expectations there. Might have been a few.
Special teams. God damn it.
You all right?
Nope.
I'm just gonna leave the camera on you for a few more seconds
That's
I
fine.
I think we might get a
so
tear.
Sad. Like,
We
I
might get a
haven't looked
tear.
at anything on YouTube about reactions or analysis of that game. I'm like, nope, don't care. I know what happened.
Like, I can't. I was there. I saw it. I don't
Yep.
need it. My name's Mike Byrne. You can follow me right there at Magic Man 1. But more importantly, follow at RC Radio, RAIDEO on Twitter. So you'll know every time we go live with one of our podcasts or our streams. Until next time, gang, stay safe. And we'll see you out on the servers. PC load letter? What the fuck does that mean?